Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the study I did when I was an EFL teacher in a private school in Iran. The title of my study is, as you mentioned, Developing Reading Comprehension Skills, a case study of 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students in Iran. First, let's talk about Iran. Iran is a country which is located in the southeast of Asia. The education system in Iran is divided into 2 levels, the primary school and the high school. And the high school is divided into 2 sections, junior and senior programs. The primary school starts at the age of 6, while high school starts at the age of 12, and both of them last for 6 years. About the structure of system of education, I can say that both public and private schools exist at all levels and have the same educational system. Girls and boys study in separate schools. Ministry of Education is responsible for planning, financing, administration, and curriculum development. About the focus of this study is conducted in 2 private elementary schools, boys and girls, for 4th, 5th, and 6th grades in EFL classes. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Now, let's have a quick review about the story of Rostam and Sohrab that I did for my study from Shahnameh, whose poet is Ferdowsi. The reason why I chose this story to work with my students to develop their reading comprehension skill was that it is the most famous story of Shahnameh, and the stories of Shahnameh is included in the literacy curriculum of the schools. So all the children are familiar with the theme. And also, it is a heroic story full of love and affection between a father and his son. Also, I can say that the story embodies themes of love, destiny, and the devastating consequences of misunderstanding and unfulfilled familial bonds. And this picture is the picture of the Shahnameh, and the title of in the first slide, actually, it was the picture of Rostam and Sohrab. Now let's go to the statement of the problem. Now, currently, teaching reading strategies in Iranian schools lack effective teaching strategies to construct meaning from text, has limited transaction between readers and text, focus more on purposeful language, overlook background knowledge. They present limited cultural and background knowledge and ignore the significance of authenticity in reading materials. About the theoretical framework, the first theoretical framework that this study is based on is social constructivism. By social constructivism, we mean that learning is a subjective process. Individuals construct meaning from their experiences. Learners are active participants. They shape their understanding and construct knowledge through social interaction and lived experiences. Social interaction helps developing learners' identity. By social constructivism, or in this theory, the teacher plays the role of a facilitator. It means that they help connecting real-life examples to support learning and problem-solving skills. In this theory, encouragement and reflection are used to consolidate learning and promote deeper understanding. The second theoretical framework that this study is based on is multimodal multiliteracy. The term multiliteracy refers to 2 major aspects of language used today. The first is the variability of meaning making in different cultural, social, or professional contexts. As much as English is becoming a global language, these differences are becoming ever more significant to our communication environments. The second is the nature of new communication technologies. Meaning is made in ways that are increasingly multimodal, in which written linguistic modes of meaning interface with visual, audio, gestural, and spatial patterns of meaning. Now let's go to the methodology section. The purpose of this study is to understand the effects of short stories on students' attitudes and reading comprehension skills. The study is designed into two modes of quantitative and qualitative analysis. The participants include 140 students, including 64 boys and 76 girls in 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. For data collection, pre-post tests and Likert scale questionnaire are used to collect data. Data is analyzed through quantitative statistical method and qualitative analytical method. Regarding the context, the participants share the same socioeconomic background because all of them are in the private school, and also they have been learning English since pre-elementary school. This is the program that was included in the curriculum in this private school that actually I was working on. Let's go to the reading procedure. Reading procedure consists of 3 phases: pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading activities. In pre-reading phase, the teacher uses warm-up techniques by discussing the author, for example, title, and the cultural aspects. By discussing these things, the teacher helps the students refer to their background knowledge and gain some understanding about the culture and the context. Through while reading activities, the focus is both on constructing the meaning of keywords and the functions of the language. For teaching vocabulary, the teacher writes the keywords on the board. Then the teacher asks the students to work in groups in order to guess their meaning from the context. For teaching grammar, the students were asked to focus on tenses, punctuation marks, for example, negative forms, and adjectives. They were supposed to correct errors and write their own sentences. This way, or this method, helps the students to focus on the language and help them increase their proficiency in language. Of course, the focus is not on the language in this study, but by this way, we can also help the students to have some understanding about the language too. In post-reading phase, the focus is both on comprehension with controlled type of question and production with uncontrolled type of question. So in comprehension, for example, they fill in the blanks, but in the production phase, I ask them to write something about the story. Now let's start the quantitative analysis with first focusing on the population. In this study, as I mentioned before, we have 140 students. So 54.3% are girls and 45.7% are boys. And if you look at the pie chart, you can see that actually the number of girls is more than the number of boys. And it is also located in the table too. Now let's look at the statistical population by grade. From these 140 students, 35% were in the 4th grade, 28.6% were in the 5th grade, and 51 students were in the 6th grade. For the reliability and the validity, I can say that reliability of the test, I use test-retest, double on the study sample with 1 month interval and under the identical conditions. Pearson's correlation estimated value reached 0.8. Reliability of the questionnaire, Cronbach alpha was 0.762, which shows the questionnaires are reliable and acceptable for the purpose of the current research. And for the validity of tests and questionnaires, they were retrieved from a website with a little revision and displayed to my thesis supervisor, Professor Hosseini Fatemi from Ferdowsi University of Mashhad, one of the big universities and most important universities in Iran, and also my colleagues that was working with me in that school, who expressed their opinions on activities and design questions of the test and the content validity of the questionnaire. Now look at this bar graph. This bar graph compares test results, I mean both pre-test and post-test results, based on grades and gender. The data shows that in the 5th grade, both boys and girls make the greatest progress, with boys improved by nearly 7% and girls by almost 14%. Boys have the least improvement in the 4th grade with a slight increase of 5%, while girls have the least improvement in the 6th grade with a modest increase of 8%. In total, if you look at the table and the graph, you can see that boys show a progress of 6%, while girls exhibit a higher progress of nearly 12%. Therefore, girls demonstrate a larger amount of progress that is too significant compared to boys. Here, we can say that the observation in general shows that the use of short stories and audio files that are used during the reading process has a 29% effect on improving students' reading skill. Now let's look at the questionnaires that are used through this study. After the post-test that I give the students, I actually distribute some questionnaires, I mean 3 questionnaires. And this is the first questionnaire. In this study, we have 3 questionnaires. The first questionnaire talks about improving language skill. The graph, as you can see, clearly indicates that the majority of the students believe that short stories have a positive impact on language skills. This is evident from the highest percentage of responses falling under the strongly agree and agree category. If you look at this picture, we can see that strongly agree and agree actually is shown with the gray color. So you can see the large amount of actually positive effects. Now let's go to the second questionnaire. The second questionnaire asks about learners' personal reflection. The graph clearly shows that most students believe short stories positively impact their personal reflection, including self-esteem, creativity, or critical thinking. This is evidenced also by the highest percentage of responses in the strongly agree and agree categories. Again, in this question also, then the strongly agree and agree is highly significant. The last questionnaire, or the third one, asks about developing learners' cultural understanding or tolerance. This graph indicates that the majority of students again strongly believe that short stories enhance cultural understanding and tolerance, including intercultural communication and awareness of cultural differences. This is evident from the significant percentage of responses, again in the strongly agree and agree categories. And if you want to actually see the questions about development of intercultural communication, cultural differences, or background, or something like that. The last slide, we are talking about the result and also what was the findings of this study. The study revealed that incorporating short stories in the EFL classroom is a positive reading strategy to impact on students' reading comprehension skill and attitude toward language learning, personal reflection, and cultural understanding. Gender and seniority were identified as factors influencing students' attitudes towards short stories. From social constructivism perspective, the study highlights the importance of creating a positive and engaging learning environments where students can enjoy reading short stories and actively construct meaning through interaction and using learners' background knowledge. From multiliteracy multimodal perspective, incorporating short stories as a different mode of literacy can enhance learning among students. Also, at last, and the last finding is that using short stories keep authenticity in reading materials. These are the differences. And at last, I thank you all of you for your participation and attention. I also would like to express my deep gratitude to my supervisor, Professor Rachel Hayden, for all her support during the past academic year. I would also thank you to Professor Shelley Taylor for providing me with this wonderful opportunity to present at this symposium. And thank you all of you so much.